we found the best thing. What are your pet peeves?
Yeah.
And people are, my pet peeves are the so-and-so. We do a little improv about it, and it was a fail-safe thing because if the improv wasn't going well, one of the guys put on a little tiara, and he had a wand, and he walked out. He said, I'm the bad improv fairy, and I claim this improv is over, and I get a huge laugh.
Uh-huh.
And then we close with a set piece. And the next thing I know, I was being asked, I did a lot of things, and I got a call from Christopher Guest once to come down. And my manager, you've got to go down right away. I said, well, I'm doing something. Well, he wants to put you in a movie. I said, well, what's the hurry? Well, no, he wants to see you today. So I knew Christopher Guest. I knew who he was. I'd been in Spinal Tap with Christopher Guest.
Right. But what happened to Fernwood Tonight in that period?
That was late 70s, so that must have come later. Yeah, Fernwood Tonight.
I mean, like, because that...
Martin Mull. That's right. I skipped about 6 years there.
Yeah, but that's like...
the prison years.
Because that sort of set a new standard for television comedy.
Yeah.
Because I have vague memories of that because I was about 13 or 14, and it was on late, right? Wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was syndicated, so it was on 11 o'clock here, 7 o'clock somewhere else.
And I was still a kid, but I just remembered that there was this buzz around something different, that something different was happening. And it was what was the premise of it?
It was, if you remember...
A local talk show?
A local show in a little town called Fernwood,
right,
which was the home of Mary Hartman.
And that became a spin-off, correct?
Someone said, wouldn't it be funny if they had a cable TV show in this town? What would it be like? Now, 3 or 4 people have talked to me and said it was their idea. I don't know whose idea it was. But they called me to come in and do it.
And you were the sidekick to Martin Mull.
I was the sidekick.
Who was a hilarious guy.
Oh, my God. I didn't know him, but I'd gone to see him in a club. And I said, boy, this guy is very sharp. He didn't make easy references.
Yeah.
And they said, you'll be the Ed McMahon. I said, well, I don't want to be, that to be a cliche.
Really? Did you?
And I went in, I said, I started naming people that would do better than me. Yeah. And they said, no, everyone says you'll be right. Look, if you don't want to do it, just come in for a week during the rehearsals, the warm-up rehearsals, till we get someone else. I said, okay.
So sit in.
So I sat in, and we laughed so hard, and it was so funny.
How did you develop that character? Like because with Fernwood Tonight, I mean, at some point, like this always fascinates me with improv actors and guys who do character work. Is that there's some I don't know if I've been able to get anyone to really define it, but there's something you do that is funny. That there's I mean, I guess it's just something happens from but when you improvise, you've just got this tone. Like I think in Fernwood Tonight, you kind of played it a little like dumber than you are.
Yeah. I play a clueless, kind of a clueless guy who has it's like almost like the me worry guy.
Right.
Which I love to do because I'm just the opposite. I worry about everything.
Right.
Things are, oh God, what happened? Like today, I just had such a day. I've changed my accountant. Mm-hmm. My first accountant retired unexpectedly. Tax period last year was a nightmare. The new people, I got a new accountant. I'm suddenly getting a call from some company that I've got to have some kind of tax thing in by October 16th. So I had to rush in. I got this new accountant. I said, what? We're just going to leave him to go out of town for 3 weeks. I said, what's the worst if I don't get this thing in? There's no tax owed. Yeah. He said, well, the penalty is $100 a day. I said, oh, God, we're going to be gone 21 days. I don't want to pay $2,100. So I had to rush over to that. I got home. My wife can't find her passport. Oh, geez, no. What did you do with my passport? I don't know. So then I came here. I got lost coming here. So I worry about everything.
Right.
So I'd love to be the kind of guy who just,
right,
I don't have a passport. I'll go through customs, and I'll tell them who I am. I don't have a driver's license. Hi, I'm Fred Willard. I'd love to be that kind of guy.
But you're not.
I'm not. So
you hide it very well. I would never have assumed that about you, that you're just toiling in panic all the time.
I'm constantly expected to be T-boned. I was coming over. It was quite a rainy day. And, constantly expecting a truck to come out and get T-boned.
Yeah, I worry about that. But I worry about that when I walk into my house. For some reason, I have this concern that I'm going to walk into my house, I'm going to open the door, and someone's just going to push me or just run into... but it's crazy. Do you ever have that panic where you're sleeping and you're going to get hit in the head?
Sleeping?
Yeah, there's a new one for you. Where I'm just laying in bed and someone's going to come and hit me in the head.
Now you put that in my mind. No. But you know when I'm nervous when my wife is away.
Yeah.
I'm never nervous at home, but when your wife is gone, it's just me. And I'll start locking the front door.
No guns in the house.
No guns. No guns. No, I got a knife. Or what am I going to do? Or a bat? What are you going to do? And I don't think I'd use it on some. I think I'd reason with him. Look, I could never be a cop. I don't think. I watch these cop shows.
Yeah.
And the poor guys, they're always finding someone with a little marijuana, and the poor guy's saying, "Oh man." I think I'd say, "Oh, go ahead."
Yeah.
When they beg the cop, "No, please, man." I say, "Oh, go ahead. Go ahead." I think what I'd arrest are the guys that don't signal. Give them a ticket. The guys that don't. I hate that when they don't signal a turn, and you're sitting behind them, and then they put on the turn. That I might give them a ticket. But the poor guy with a little marijuana. Is marijuana legal? Or it seems to be legal. It's not legal.
You can buy some down the street. You need some?
No, thanks. But
that was never your bag.
But they're always arresting someone for marijuana. I don't know.
I don't know if it happens as much as it used to. Not with these dispensaries everywhere. But back in the '60s, it wasn't your thing either. Hanging around.
I never really did. No, I never.
Yeah.
I took. I took
Not a
marijuana
drinker?
once.
Yeah.
I didn't like inhaling because I'm not a smoker. I'll smoke an occasional cigar, but inhaling marijuana it hurt my lungs.
Yeah.
I took Coke once.
Yeah.
Doc Severinson. We were doing the Tonight Show. He came home and he gave us everyone a little bit of Coke in the hallway. And I sniffed it up my nose, and everything swelled up, and it felt like I get a lot of respiratory problems. I said, "No, I don't need this."
You didn't get the good part.
I did not like it.
That's so funny. So back in the day, in the '70s, everyone was hopped up, huh?
Everyone was hopped up but me. No.
Yeah. How many situations were you in where everybody was just and
a lot of times I didn't know it. I thought everyone was having a good time and having fun. I was having a good time. I'll have a drink or two. I like a drink and occasional cigar. And now what concerns me, because we're flying.
Yeah. Where you going?
We're actually going. I'm doing a job in London, which should be very exciting. It's with the people who did Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Uh-huh.
What it is, they're going to have a celebrity. I'm going to be the host interviewing the celebrity. And there's going to be 4 or 5 improvisers. And, I went to, my first day I went to high school and I forgot, my pants fell down. I'd say, "Hey, guys, let's reenact that scene where Tom Hanks walked into high school. He didn't have a belt on.
Oh, I get it. So it's
then they'd act it out.
Mm-hmm. It's like what they call ASCAT over at the UCB, is where they have somebody do a short monologue, and then the improvisers sort of take off
It's
from
like
there.
that,
Yeah.
yes.
Interesting.
And I hope they don't hear about that, because then they'll get. I'm so surprised they asked me, and I said, "Gee, this is great." I did a show like it a couple of years ago in New York.
Yeah.
And it was the improvisers. You have such respect for the guys. I mean, they just get up and improvise.
Some of them very quick.
Oh my God! So anyway, we're going over to do. I'll be there two weeks, but my wife are going to go to Berlin for a few days beforehand, because we were there 2 years ago. And we're only there a couple of days, and really loved it. It's a very unique city.
Uh-huh.
It's almost all demolished. I'm a big fan of World War II. I love all the history of World War II.
Yeah.
And there's a few buildings left, and the Brandenburg Gate is there, and
now you can go to both sides without any problem.
Yeah. And all they talk about now is where the wall used to be, the wall.
Yeah.
And I think that's. So no one asks, "Well, where was Hitler?" They don't want to talk about Hitler. They'll talk about the wall.
Oh, so look at that. The wall coming down erased Hitler.
But I've got to go by, and I didn't get the chance to see where his bunker used to be. They built apartments over it.
Really? That's got to be a weird place to live.
It must be. If
you believe in that kind of stuff.
I have a feeling that people who live there know, and it's kind of weird.
It would have been better if it was like a Jewish retirement hospital. Something
that would be
significance.
Look, there's some history to this. Yeah. What? I'll give you a good price. What could possibly be? No, the bunker was right.
If that's where he ended, then this is where we start.
That's right. Yeah. That's where they want.
So, all right. So, Fernwood Tonight was really because I remember that there was. It just felt like that at that time, things were changing in comedy. There was a little more freedom. It was a little weirder. And there seemed to be a new crew in town, and because SNL started, not
right
long
about
after that
time, yes.
And it just seemed like the whole thing was busting open in the mid to late '70s.
Yes,
and you were part of that crew.
That's right. And then along came Monty Python. We were in London. We got to go to London to do the Tom Jones show. And one night we're all sitting around at a dinner party.
What was he like?
Tom Jones could have been greater. I loved his voice. I love his music. He loves these old '50s songs.
Yeah.
He picks these old songs. And they'd bring him over. He's just a blue-collar guy.
Yeah.
And they'd put him in one of our sketches, and he'd stand there, and we'd do it for him once. He'd get in, and he'd played along. He knew his lines.
Yeah.
Complete gentleman. I just love him, and I'm always a big fan. We were on the show once. Little Richard was on the show, and there we were, 5 Americans sitting in this rehearsal room. There's Little Richard, and we were all trying to be cool.
Yeah,
and Little Richard is up playing. Please send me some lovin'.
Yeah.
And Tom Jones gets up to sing a duet with him. The only one I could think of who could hold his own next to Little Richard.
Yeah.
And at the end of the rehearsal, Richard, could we have a photo with you? Oh, sure. Everyone won't want to have a photo with me. He was just a great guy.
Yeah.
And then a funny story. My wife and I went out for dinner, and I'm still kicking myself. The next day they said, you should have stuck around. Little Richard invited us up to his hotel room. I said, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
We were up there. We had drinks. Little Richard went in the other room and brought out a book of just pictures of women's vaginas. Can you imagine Little Richard?
Huh.
They said it was so weird, and he showed us these pictures. And
so then he said, maybe I shouldn't have been there. Maybe I...
Well, but just to sit in a room with
Little Richard looking at vaginas. With him probably saying, like, why can't I like these? I'm trying to get myself to like these.
Yeah, that is...
It's not what you assumed about him, but maybe he had a fascination. But it's just weird when they're just separate from the body, perhaps, just vaginas.
Yeah, that was the weird thing.
That's quite a party. That Little Richard, huh?
He throws a party. And then the guys, then we were coming back to L.A., and the guys were going to Stockholm. And I couldn't go. My wife wanted me to come home. We just had a baby. So I flew home. And I said, get me some of that pornography. Is it Stockholm or Sweden?
Sweden,
where they have,
the Swedish.
So they brought me a
for
pornographic magazine. My wife didn't like that. The next day I said, what happened to it? I threw it out the window.
Yeah.
I said, oh no, my pornography.
The one pornography I had, I should have gone to Little Richard's room. So at that time, so Monty Python was popular.
We tuned on, and here's this Monty Python.
Right.
We'd never seen anything like it
because they were only in England at that time.
Yeah. And then we said, you know what we should do? We should get hold of their material and do some of their material and our material on an American TV show. So we got our agent. We tried to talk in American, and then we took it down to some network to buy it, and we showed them a Monty Python, and they looked at it. They didn't laugh. They said, "Oh, it's like Laugh-In." And we said, "Oh, they just didn't get Monty Python."
How could they compare Monty Python to Laugh-In?
So a year later, we heard the Time Life bought Monty Python, and then the rest is history.
Did you ever meet those guys?
I met Eric Idle through doing Best in Show. I worked at my partner in that show, judging the dog show, was Jim Piddock, a wonderful English actor.
You were hilarious in that.
Thanks, yeah. And we were at a party, and he knows Eric Idle. He knows all these guys. So I met Eric Idle, and I'll sit. And I don't know whether it's more exciting to sit with Little Richard or Eric Idle. When you realize what Eric Idle, he wrote, not only was with Monty Python, but wrote the nudge, nudge, wink, wink, all these. He was the guy who did it. And he's just a regular, he's just a Brit. I don't know, we sit and talk for a long time. And he tried to get me to do Spamalot. He wanted me to be Spamalot.
Right, sure.
And I couldn't do it. And I would not have been as good. Who did they use? The guy from Rocky Horror Show.
Tim Curry?
Tim Curry was it. And then they wanted me to replace him. And I said, I thought, I just can't. I was so flattered they wanted me to do it. I couldn't do that. Tim Curry had a great voice.
It's interesting that, throughout your career and as you talk about it, that you always sort of there were because in my mind, working with Alan Arkin, even for a little while, to me it's like that must have been fucking mind blowing.
It was great, yeah.
And then to see where he went and then where you went and you both did all right. You're both very respected, but you still had this thing where it's like with the comedians, like someone like Eric Idle, you're like, oh my god, it's Eric Idle, and you feel that you're a fan of his work.
Yeah, and you joke for a minute or two, and he jokes, and after a while, you say, let me just have a serious conversation with this guy.
Yeah.
He's probably heard all the jokes.
Right.
Nothing I can say can make him laugh. He's very nice. If I say something funny, he'll laugh. Oh, yeah. But then I get off on another subject. We talk about people in England and,
Now, was the Real People thing, because I definitely have conscious memories from that.
Real People was interesting. I got a call one day from George Schlatter.
Sure.
Who had done, speaking of Laugh-In.
And everything else.
George Schlatter.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I'm doing the show called Real People. I saw you on Fernwood tonight, and you talk to crazies like they're normal, and that's what I want to do. And I said, well, okay. So he
wanted real crazies.
You got real crazies. And I've always wanted to talk, if you find someone on the street who's nuts, I try to make a real conversation with them to see what they're. I always have a feeling they have something in their mind that they're trying to express. I found out that most of them don't. But he told me about the show.
Yeah,
I said,
if they had a little more focus, they probably wouldn't be talking to the wall.
So he told me about the show.
Yeah.
And it was NBC.